Today's podcast, thoughts on Shane Dawson and Jake Paul documentary and analytical people. And are people worth waiting on to change? Stay tuned for more.
Welcome to
Johnny Rack's Introverted Intellect, a podcast for introverts.
What is going on, guys? Johnny Raxa here, back again with the Introverted Intellect. Whoo! Sorry. Anyways, I hope everyone had a great, wonderful weekend. It's Monday. It's great, sunny outside. This past weekend, it was really sunny. It was great because last week was a little bit, not so great. And, you know, fortunately, I had the stomach bug, and it was from this yogurt place. And man, like, as soon as I ate the yogurt, I didn't take a lactate pill because I'm lactose intolerant. So immediately, something hit me, and I'm like, oh, man, I can't believe I ate that. Dang it. And then later, it kept going. And usually my stomach doesn't feel right for like maybe like a few hours, and I'll like get the toots. But then later that night, as I was sleeping, I woke up in the middle of the night, threw up, and had major runs the next day. It was a mess. I was like, I hate life right now. And I've had much worse, though. That wasn't that bad. Having the runs is a blessing to what I've used to have before, with near having ulcers in my stomach because I took too much ibuprofen or Advil. I forgot what the ingredient is called, but basically it's something that is in Advil and any ibuprofen. It's basically something that's just it destroys the lining of your stomach. Basically, that wasn't that bad. I still feel it though, so excuse me if I need to pause for a minute because the cramps still come back from time to time. It hurts. All right, so actually I was just watching a little bit of the Shane Dawson documentary and with Jake Paul. I find it extremely, extremely entertaining. And here, my first initial thoughts about it is this. Oh, they're coming back. Okay, I'm gonna try to get through this. Basically, it's a story, okay? We as people are absolutely captivated by the storylines that, especially the story that Shane portrays of what's going on here. He's having himself be I forget the components, but like an antagonist, protagonist. Basically, you have the main guy who is Shane, and Jake is the other guy who's the antagonist. We're trying to figure out what Jake is. You know, who is Jake? Is he a sociopath? Who is he exactly? And then the people who help him through it, his supporters, are like the people on the camera, the one guy behind the camera, the therapist, the people who he is interviewing, and he's leading up. It's this mountain, you know, you climb. He's climbing that storyline of the mountain that goes, okay, is Jake Paul a sociopath? You start off that base, and then you're climbing up. You're making it. You know, you just generate the suspense as you go along, and finally you hit the interview with Jake Paul, which I kind of got through a little bit, which came out today, but I didn't watch all of it just yet. I just want to give my thoughts on just who these guys are, Logan Paul, Jake Paul. My first thoughts of who they are is this: like, I found them to be kind of people I envied. I know that sounds crazy, but when I first watched them, I didn't know much about them. I didn't know their backstory. I didn't know how crazy they were and weird because I only watched a few of their vlogs. And I was like, dude, I like how open they are and how crazy they are and just how outgoing they seem to be. And it just seemed like a life that I wanted. I kind of envied that. I envied the fact that they were so open and not shy about stuff. And as introverts and a shy, awkward guy, you oftentimes will envy people who have these qualities and characteristics about them. And it turns out that they could be a bit of an ass sometimes to people, and it's just not something that you don't want to be that. And I realize that a lot of the stuff's fake. And I mean, you see fake stuff all the time on media. All the reality television shows out there. Now I'm seeing like a lot of pranks on YouTube are fake. Like fake I feel that people cannot be that evil. It makes sense to me that things are fake, because people have more empathy than you might think, unless there's like, as Shane is trying to see here, whether or not if they're sociopaths. When Shane revealed that these pranks are fake, the pranks that Jake Paul did on his friends were fake, I just thought, okay, I get it. Like, maybe it's not so much that, maybe it's not the fact that he is a sociopath. Maybe it's just, this is the entertainment, guys. This is people who are strategically trying to get more views, obviously for YouTube and to make money. This is how they did it originally, and a lot of it's fake. It's faked, right? So I just wanted to say that, and I thought to myself, man, like the first, I think it was the first or second video, he talked about sociopaths and trying to define them. And I was like, man, I'm like now trying to see who is a sociopath amongst the people I know in my little circle of friends, right, or my family. And I know there's a few I feel like they are. And I think when Logan Paul sent out a video explaining like there's a spectrum of low sociopathic tendencies to high sociopath tendencies, or being really high in the spectrum, it made some sense, you know. And then there was something else that said somewhere in the videos that's talked about how sociopaths they could be close to their families but not care about the people they don't know at all. Like, okay, I get it. But some don't care about animals, let's say. I don't know. In the end, there is a level. I feel like there is definitely a level of sociopathic, you know, in our brains. There might be something wrong with us, that we don't care as much about certain things. And here's what so I want to talk about. So going into this, I actually thought about a friend of mine in college who didn't seem to have much emotion in his life. It made me really angry, but I didn't think a sociopath or psychopath. I thought more so like analytical thought. Person who thinks analytically, who thinks he's so there's the Myers-Briggs. If you guys don't know, that's kind of the personality types for everybody. People are certain personality types. It's kind of overrated these days, but basically on the Myers-Briggs, people that are high in the T zone, which is the analytical or feeler type. I'm more the feeler type, the thinker type. The people really high on that are generally a lot less. They would seem social. They would seem like they're sociopaths, because they don't have as much emotion going through them, and their emotions don't dictate their decision making. Rather, it's the logic behind it. Is it logical to do this? Is it logical to do that? And they don't let their feelings decide. And I used to hate being a feeler. Like, I was like, I want to be logical. I want to be that thinker type where I'm like, let's just be, you know, Spock in, gosh, what's it called? Some of you guys are gonna hate me for not knowing Star Trek. And Spock he's very analytical. Excuse me, sorry. Oh gosh, I hear that a lot in the city. Spock is he's the guy that he's analytical, and he doesn't seem like he portrays any emotion, right? And it kind of that's what I saw my friend. He was like the Spock of my friend group, and I hated that because it made him out to be more of a bully at some points, because he doesn't empathize with where I'm coming from, you know. He didn't seem like he really understood me, and he had a hard time trying to relate and seem to enjoy the presence of people around him. And he would only do things he was comfortable with that gave him good feedback. As in, if he was to, we had a lot of mentors there in our community group, and he would be the guy to do stuff. He would be doing a lot of things. He would do with action, but yet in the end, he didn't know how to connect with people on a personal level. He missed that part in his life, right? And so I was really annoyed of that. Like, people thought he was so mature and so good, but really I knew, like, I saw right through him. I saw that he wasn't able to connect with people on a deeper level, you know. And once people started to call him out for that, then it was just night and day. Like, I mean, later on in the years though. So that's the next topic I want to get into, is whether or not it's worth it to stick to somebody, to wait out and be patient with their characteristics and personality. Sometimes it's not worth it. If they are draining you so much and they're so toxic to your life, sometimes it's best to just let them go. And if they are seemingly knowing that there's something wrong with them and they're willing to change, then patience is definitely a key factor in that relationship, and you will see better results down the line as long as you're patient. There's another friend of mine. So for this particular friend of mine, let's call him Rob. I have a friend named Rob, but it's not Rob. Don't worry, Rob. Whatever Rob I'm talking about. Rob, he made fun of me. He was kind of a bully in my sophomore year of college. Going down the years later, I didn't care much about it, and we didn't talk much. We didn't care about each other really. And then we didn't live with each other for some time. And throughout the years, we stopped living with each other. He went to some other school to help out with the club there after we had graduated college. And he was there for a year. He came back, and man, it was like, who are you? Like, what are you doing here? Sorry, so that is one of my sound effects.
Another one,
DJ Khaled. Anyways, it was amazing transformation. And to think that I would actually respect this guy now and just see him as a huge encouragement was something that I would never have thought to myself ever in my life. Ever. Like, I didn't know that I would actually see that, like, just be so encouraged by this guy and so amazed by what he's done, like, the change. It just took humility, and it just took him realizing his faults and trying to work on them to come back after a year and just be a changed man. That was just absolutely amazing. I'm just like, I'm still in shock by it this day. One of my best friends right now was the exact same way in a way. He's more, now this guy, he was emotional, and he was a feeler type. He was so absolutely emotionally needy. It was ridiculous. And it was so annoying. This kid was just, I hated him so much, and he did not like me either. It was just this mutual hate that we had for each other because he expected me to be a certain way. I didn't want to live up to his expectations. He was, I mean, it was bad. The backstory behind it all was he was my friend for a little bit, but then it got worse and worse, and then we became sworn enemies within sophomore, junior year. And once so there was a time when we moved out. We lived with each other for a while, and we always hated each other. I mean, we almost got into fights, like physical altercations. He got into physical altercations with other roommates of mine. The thing about him was just, I was blamed for everything, basically. I was like, you need to get better at being closer to him. You need to try harder. I'm like, I can't try harder. This is not just me. It's him. I'm telling you. And I mean, to this day, I'm going to say right now, I could have probably done more. But given the time I was in, the depression, the sadness, the anxieties that I had in my life, I could not get myself to help myself. If I was in a better position, probably, maybe, most likely, I could have stepped up and said, hey, I want to make this work. And we've had those conversations, him and I. Let's call him Mark. And Mark, he was constantly just killing my soul until we moved out to a bigger house with older folks. Now, these guys were not totally, like, not that much older than us. I mean, like, at the most 5 years. And they became like the mentors of ours, the people who we can talk to or rant to, and with versus us younger guys who are younger, of course, and didn't have as much life experience. And fast forward another year later, and boom, like this guy changes 180. Like this guy becomes one of my closest best friends to this day, and he is an encouragement to me. And let's go back to it again. The fact that if people are willing to change and they know their faults, they know, they can obviously see like, hey, like if they can just basically say they did something wrong, then maybe in the end they could change. But if they're constantly being so toxic that they put you down and they decide like, hey, you like forget all you stand for, you're coming down with me, then you need to remove those people out of your life. I don't care who it is. I've had people, my relatives, for instance. They are my relatives. I love them, but they can't be part of my life anymore unless I see that they come back to me and I see that they're changed, right? So with that said, I encourage people out there who are deep inside know that they can't be part of someone's life that is just totally toxic to them, that will push them down, like that will keep them down, and you can't move forward because you just gotta let them go. Is it worth it? Is it, in the end, you gotta determine whether or not this relationship is indeed worth it. Is it worth waiting for this person to change, or are you better off just letting them go? That's up for you to decide, of course, right? All right, so that's all I'm gonna really say today. Thoughts, Jake. I'm really excited for Shane Dawson and Jake Paul's interview. I'm about to watch soon here. Oops, I just did another. Oh, right here. Yeah. Anyways, never mind. I'm not really not ready for this. I gotta time that better. Anyways, and also know that there are people who are high thinker types, very analytical. They might have these sociopathic tendencies, but they're not necessarily sociopaths. For that, you might think that they are, but really they're just really highly analytical. They're just like Spock. My name's Spock. I'm a robot. And they can change. That they can. But they're not going to be motivated by their feelings then versus what they find as more logical, right? And lastly, of course, what we talked about is, are people worth waiting for to change? And that's up to you to decide whether they're too toxic or they have the right mindset. They're just not there yet. Because I was the exact same way. I knew where I needed to be. I wasn't there yet, but eventually I got there. And so it was Mark and Rob. I think that's what I said, right? Mark and Rob. Yeah. So that's all I had to say. Not so much. I'm kind of sick right now. Like as I mentioned, I hope I get better. And thank you very much, guys, for listening, and stay tuned for more. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. We are iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play. And catch me on YouTube. If you guys aren't watching on YouTube right now, just catch me on YouTube. See how my beautiful face looks like, my unshaved beautiful face. All right. Take care, and see you guys later. Peace.
We are what you make it.